Hello model car fans, welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and if you've been a subscriber or been watching any of my videos and following along for any time now, you'll know that I'm a big fan of convertibles, and I'm also a big fan of resin. So here's a project that I've had sitting around for a long time, but I put a lot of work into this, and it kind of took on a life of its own and got kind of crazy. So that's why you see a couple of bodies in the background as well, and I'll expand and get more into that. This is a 67 GT500E convertible, also known as the Eleanor Convertible, but when they were making the continuation cars. So I was just fascinated by that car, and I wanted to build it. And I'd also heard about the one and only 67 Shelby convertible, which I also want to build that. To make a long story kind of short here, is Greg Wan was casting the fastback, and he gave me one of the bodies, even though Scale Productions makes the kit, and I bought 3 of them total from Scale Production, and bought one and built it, loved it so much I bought a second one, and it became a parts car, and I ended up selling the body because of this project. I later on bought a third one, and I have that in my stash as an example of their kits, but in its complete. And you saw that in my other video of my Eleanor that's actually built. But he gave me one of his bodies, which I'm like, okay, I've already got a couple, so we're good friends. So I decided I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this, and just a spare body lying around is all it really was. So I cut the roof off and made a convertible. And that's what the result of this is. Now this is not that one. That's actually this one over here in primer, and I'll get into that. I went and I just had a little bit of fun, roughed it in, and was getting a convertible out of it, and I was pretty happy with it. And it's not the first convertible conversion I've done. I've actually done a number of them. The 70 GTO Judge, that's on my channel. You can search that one out. I took that one, cut it into coupe, into convertible. 71 GTO Judge, that's a stalled project that's in my pile as well. A 70 Coronet RT convertible that I've built, that one's in my stash. I haven't shown that one, but that one's finished. And there's a couple others. There's a 70 Shelby convertible that I bought a resin body, and it was rough, and it was actually easier to convert the monogram Revell body into the convertible than it was to fix that one. And I had the same thing happen with another Resin Casters convertible body, which was a 2006-2007 Shelby convertible, and I turned that one into the GTH convertible that you saw in my 2006 Shelby GTH coupe. You kind of see that in that video, but I haven't gotten into that build also. It was the same kind of thing. It was so much work to fix the body that was cast than it was to actually cut the roof off and make my own body, and that's what I did with that one. And this one was kind of along those lines too, where I decided that I was going to cut it, and I had made the body. And then it just kind of took off from there. A few people had gotten excited because I was sharing pictures online. Others wanted to see if it get cast. And I decided, you know what, why not? I went this far, so I went ahead and I made molds of it over here, and I made molds of it. And I ended up casting them, and that's what this is. This is one of the ones I had cast, and this is back in 2008. And I had sold a few of them and on eBay. So if you got a white one off of eBay 10, 15 years ago, more like 15, that was one of mine. And I had a number of people asking me for Greg's coupe. So Greg was selling the coupe, I was selling the convertible. So it kind of went from there. And there's not a whole lot of demand for the convertible. And after I had done a number of them, I kind of got pooped out and tired, and it sat, which this is one of the ones I saved for myself. And for a number of years, the master sat waiting. So let me take a moment here and expand out. Alright, so now that you can see all of them, and it's not focusing on one particular one, here's my original master after I had done all the work. And then you can see I had completely cut the back out, and I put in a flat piece of styrene. It's pretty easy conversion, and I cut it back here and left the spoiler lip alone So that's cast in, and I had flattened all this out, and I had to carve in the trunk lid here and square all this out. I was really happy with that. And then here's my original sun visors, which are resin also, and then I had made the pins there to help them, so they it's kind of funny because they actually work. You can tilt them up and down, so it's kind of funny, but they're not completely in there now, and there's clay all over them from the casting process, which this body has been clayed up a couple of times and cast up. But she's pretty nice, and like I said, I didn't really do most of the work. Most of my work is in the roof here and doing all of this. And just some noticeable things. Mine here, the trunk here is flat. So I just want to point that out because on the real 68 and 67 convertibles, the trunk is flat. And the Shelbys have the lip on them, the 68s. But the trunk is still pretty flat. There's really no peak or anything. But this is my original as far as the master goes, and then my sun visors, and I'll show you some of the other parts here. Here's the convertible boot, and then the epoxy putty I used filled it and pulled that down. I don't remember what this came from that I started to work from, but where it came from after that. So took care of all of that, and then I cut the rear seat up. So here's the rear seat, and from the fastback, and made some mods to it. And this is all epoxy putty and shaping it, cutting it, and filling this in so that they mate together. It's not the most accurate back seat, but it's a nice representation of what it would be. And then I modified the door panels into the convertible and bulges out. Now these are copied a lot of the 68 Shelby convertibles. The regular Mustangs don't have a panel like this. Matter of fact, I got some pictures here for reference. These are from some 68s that I was using, and you can see it bulges out, but it's because of the roll bar, and I really wanted the roll bar. So regular Mustang convertibles didn't have the roll bar, so I had copied the speaker here and the window cranks, and tried to copy the back seat as best as I can, even though it's got a hump in there, and then my back seat is flat because it's from the fastback. But there's some pictures right there, and here's another 68 in black. Just some things I had found online and made copies of and printed them up. And I'd mastered that, and then I was selling these, and after about 20 or 30 and getting kind of bored of producing them and whatnot, so it ended up being thrown in the back burner and in my parts pile. Go back another 5 years or so, Greg had approached me and he wanted to add that to his catalog and start selling them again, and I wasn't really interested in producing it, and it was just kind of a stalled project. So I gave him my master again, and he went ahead and he made this one from it. Now this is his original master, and if you see his trunk, they shaved into here and gave some of the fastback lines to the trunk. Now it's kind of cool, not very accurate, but it's pretty cool. But that's a distinguishing feature of his, and it's pretty thick right in here so it doesn't break, which mine was kind of too. That was kind of a problem, and you can see all the clay in this one as well. So this is his original. He gave it to me as master, and it's just made from a resin body, and they just made the mods here because they liked the way this looked and didn't realize, why I had a flat, and they fixed a flaw right there. But they were casting this one, and this one's a pretty nice. And here's one of the ones after. You can see right here in a little bit more of a tan resin. So I've got a few of these, but I just kind of have them because of sentimental value and everything that's been going on with this, and one of his fastbacks and extra hoods here. But like I said, I've been buying some of the scale production stuff, which I even have Memphis Rains. I still haven't painted them or detailed them up. I'm not really good at figures, but I do want to paint them up and detail them and have them standing with my Eleanor. And then I also got a few of the Eleanor photo etch sheets when Scale Productions did make them available separately. This is from one of my kits that I kept all the parts from, so you can see the decals here, and then a couple more when they offered the photo etch frets separately. So these are from Scale Production, and I'll be using a set on here, and I have a couple extras of course, but you know, with all the Eleanors and convertibles I got lying around, it's not really a big surprise. And then also got their directions and instructions from that kit, and you know, everything that they offered, which, you know, I said I do have that kit, and I just got all of these all over the place. And one thing I liked is his wheels, Scale Productions wheels, but I'm not a big fan of the tires. These things are super low profile tires. And I really liked these Pegasus Hobby tires, and I've used these on one of my other sets, and they're very close. They don't quite fit the wheel. It almost falls through, so I'll add a piece of like electrical tape, and then just to give me just enough of a gap to fill it in and hold the tire. But unfortunately, Pegasus doesn't make these tires anymore, which is so sad. They're beautiful tires. And I got some more of the wheels that are cast, and I got wheels and spare parts all over the place. And my original roll bar vanished. This is one of my copies, but my master one managed to disappear and go away. And I got some these are pewter. These are from R&D Unique. Gas caps and stuff that I've had a long time. So I've got this stuff kind of piled up. But to get going, I'm gonna build this one. So I've kind of mocked it up so you can get a real good look here. The roll bar is just wobbling. Nothing's glued. This is all just mocked up. But a lot of work here. So here's the roll bar. Take the seats out. And there's my convertible boot. This one's been cleaned up and fitted. All of this has actually been cleaned up and fitted, and the glass fits, and I had to thin it out around here, make the hood fit, because the hoods, when they're cast, they just don't, like this one, yeah, this one's been sanded to fit something. That one, I think a lot of these have been fitted, but yeah, this one doesn't quite fit, but that's part of it, you know, get them fit and get them trimmed. I got another one of the hoods in that box. But clean this one up, thin that a little bit. It's a little thick back here at the cowl, if you can see that. At the very back, it's a little thick. But everything's fitting. So I got all of that trimmed and fitting. Oh, there goes the seat. Matter of fact, let me get those parts out of here, because this seat is pushing the door panels apart. So there's a cast but cleaned up door panels. There's the other one. And I have no idea what colors I'm going to go with on this one. But started fitting the chassis, glued the firewall in. But this is right from the AMT kit, which is right here, the 67 Shelby, which you see a couple boxes of them. One of my favorite kits. Finished 2 of them, but have so many started. It's kind of crazy. But I'm going to be fitting this. Don't know what engine I'm going to go with yet. But this one I've done a lot of cleanup to the body, flash. Haven't done any actual body work to it. Just cleaning up all the flash, trimming it, sanding it. Oh, and this is number 6. So we were marking, and Greg may have done it to some of his too. I don't see it on the bottom of any of these, because he'll do it too on his first pulls. But this is number 6, and it was one of my better ones, so I saved it for me. But, and I'll tell you, number 1 and number 2, and maybe even number 3, they're junk. The first ones that come out of the mold, if you're lucky and you know what you're doing, those are the ones that you pull them out, and you'll find the areas that bubbles get trapped, and then you'll find ways to make holes in the mold to get the air out, to get the bubbles out, to get nice castings with, you know, pin marks that you can remove and then sand. But a lot of times that's what the first ones are. So this is number 6 for me. And like I said, I probably did 20 to 30 of them. I really don't remember. I didn't keep real good track. But this one's thinned and ready, and I'm going to build it. I don't know what color yet. Don't know what engine's going to go in it yet. You know, as far as some of the details, I'll figure that out as I build it. So I'm going to start building this one. But it's been sitting in my pile for a long time, and I figured I would show it to you guys and go from there and kind of give you the history of this build, what it's been through, and how it kind of took a life of its own. But unfortunately, these are no longer available. I'm not selling them. Greg's not selling them. I've seen one or two pop up on eBay. I've never seen any of mine built. And I'm not sure how many Greg had sold either. But haven't seen any of them built. But I've seen one or two of them pop up on eBay. But I'll get building some of these, and I'll save those for my personal. If you cast and you have projects like this, you can kind of understand why you keep some of them. But when it comes to cleaning the clay off of all the crevices and all the little areas, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You have to do it to the mold so that they come out of the mold, get all the clay out of the mold. And some of your first pulls will have pieces of clay stuck to it too. So like I said, this is number 6, but when you pull out the first couple of them, you'll get clay. Like this is, it's got clay all over from being cast, and I think this one might even have a piece of clay in it. Or I'm not sure how far along that was on the mold. Some of them will have clay that comes with them when you pull them out of the mold. But I'll get to building this, and I'd be interested to find out what you guys think as far as what color I should go with. I want to go with the super snake style stripes, the wide and the 2 skinny ones all the way down the center of it. But I don't know what color I'm going to go with. It's one of the reasons why I didn't build it. And I'd lost kind of motivation after doing all the work and what this has gone through. But Greg gave me back my original, gave me his. He's not casting these anymore. He's moved on to other projects. So like I said, these are not available. So I apologize for bringing up a resin project that isn't available anymore. But I love my resin kits, and most of my resin kits that I got are not available anymore because they have limited runs or the molds just don't last. So for those of you that are really interested, I apologize. So I'll get to building some of these, and it's kind of funny, I just noticed that some of them are missing the piece here, so they may have broke when they're pulling them out of the molds. So these are kind of like seconds or problems, but I don't know why it's missing off of that one, because that's his original master. It may have broken later on. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing, and all of your comments and suggestions. I do appreciate it. And you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next weekend.